what's up at the box office, and welcome to a very special episode of the show. For all you first-timers, this is an exciting weekly roundup of every movie at the box office in Africa and globally. Here's a bold statement. 2014 is looking like a pretty damn good year for movies so far. We've had a few strong ones in a row, 2011, 2012, and 2013, were all overflowing with goodness. But a little less than halfway through this year, and the discerning moviegoer has been spoilt with choices. Of course, there's been a lot of swill, but from the blockbuster to tiny foreign indies, there's been plenty worth checking out. We've sat back and taken stock, and picked out the very best movies of 2014 so far. But before we go on, let us know your own favorites of the year via our social media platforms. And hey, these are the best 5 movies of 2014 so far.
I apologize for the mystery. I don't mean to scare you. You're not in any trouble. I just thought you should be somewhere safe when you found out.
Blue Ruin. There are plenty of scuzzy revenge-type American independent genre movies out there, but for one to premiere at Cannes Directors Fortnight suggests that it's something special, and that's exactly what happened with Blue Ruin. It tells the story of a vagrant who discovers that the man convicted of murdering his parents has been released from prison and sets out to take vengeance, only to become a target of the killer's family in turn. A reviewer calls it the most suspenseful American film of the year.
There's someone I've been thinking about. I have all these things that I want to say to her. I know what it feels like to be lost and lonely and invisible. You have to go after what you want. You really think she's looking at me? Yeah. All right, now lick your lips. Yeah. What? Show the tongue, but be careful not to look like a lizard. Go.
The Double. Submarine introduced the arrival of a hugely exciting new voice in the shape of actor-turned-director Richard Ayoade, but his follow-up movie titled The Double is even more distinctive and an odd film that's quite different from anything else you'll see in 2014. Life takes a dark turn for the character known as Simon James when a doppelganger named James Simon joins his company, soon winning over colleagues and the girl that he secretly loves. The strong and eclectic cast includes Maya Wasikowska, Wallace Shawn, and Noah Taylor, star Jesse Eisenberg.
He stole my face. This is not me. This is not me, sir!
How many times have we been here? How many times?
For me, it's been an eternity.
Edge of Tomorrow. With the whopping great exception of The Amazing Spider-Man 2, it's actually been a pretty good year for blockbusters so far. Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Godzilla, and X-Men: Days of Future Past have all had much to recommend them, even if none were flawless. But the best of the batch, at the least so far, is not one that we were expecting. Tom Cruise's vehicle Edge of Tomorrow. The director for this flick directed The Bourne Identity and Mr. and Mrs. Smith. His experience and style gave the action sequences an energy and clarity, doing for the sci-fi flick what he did for the spy movie with The Bourne Identity. Cruise has his best mainstream role in eons, the film initially making him a very unsympathetic, cowardly figure and letting him earn the audience's trust, in part thanks to Emily Blunt, who's instantly iconic and a welcome kick-ass female co-lead. A rare example of Cruise genuinely sharing the spotlight. For most of us, Edge of Tomorrow is the blockbuster of the year so far.
Come find me when you wake up!
Who's on the phone?
The same guy who called before. Same guy.
Are you lying to me?
Enemy. This is a Canadian indie, a thriller about a professor who discovers he has a doppelganger and seeks out the exact look-alike after spotting him in a movie. This movie, applauded by critics, stars Jake Gyllenhaal, Melanie Laurent, and Sarah Gadon. The Grand Budapest Hotel. One would think that it would have been hard to top the reaction to Wes Anderson's last film, 2012's Moonrise Kingdom, which won plaudits as it opened. The Grand Budapest Hotel was even warmer. It won rave reviews and has proven a legitimate art house box office smash, taking in over $150 million so far, more than twice his previous best haul, and a bigger take than other hefty pictures like The Monuments Men, Jack Ryan, Shadow Recruit, and Transcendence, amongst others. A reviewer writes about the movie saying, It is indeed a strange thing to feel a little sad at the absence of something that you never had. But where on earth in the real world might we ever encounter such a craft, such dedication to beauty, such attention to detail? Perhaps nowhere, except in a Wes Anderson movie. Best 2013/2014 African movies. Just before we jump into the other half and the disappointing movies of 2014 so far, let's see 5 of the arguably top African movies released in the last 1 year. First is the animated feature film known as Kumba, from the creators of Adventures in Zambezia. This heartwarming story of a half-striped zebra stars Jake T. Austin, Steve Buscemi, Loretta Devine, Lawrence Fishburne, amongst other several actors. This is the second animated feature film from Tigerfish Animation Studio. When a half-striped zebra is blamed for the drought, he leaves his herd in searching of his missing stripes. He is joined on his quest by an overprotective sassy wildebeest and flamboyant neurotic ostrich, and defeats the sadistic leopard who has been terrorizing all the animals of the Karoo. The movie was released in English and Afrikaans. Northern Affair premiered earlier in the year. Isaba Jomo, a nurse, teams up with Dr. Manuel Corgarine in a small fishing village to provide healthcare. Sparks fly and the two begin to fall in love. But each one has a dark secret that will threaten whatever love they'll share. Totally and gripping drama. A Mile from Home. A Mile from Home is the story of a student, Jude, who joined a gang whilst trying to have revenge against Stone, a notorious gangster who forcefully dispossesses him of his precious watch, a gift from his father when he turned 18. He climbs the hierarchy of the gang leadership, gets a new name, but then falls in love with the girlfriend of the gang's leader. Of the Good Report. This South African movie tells of an introverted high school teacher in rural South Africa who starts an obsessive affair with a pupil with tragic consequences. Directed by Jamil XT Kubeka. The day this movie was to be premiered in cinemas, instead of the movie's opening credits, the audience was welcomed with the following on-screen message that read, "This film has been refused classification by the Film and Publication Board in terms of the Film and Publications Act 1996. Unfortunately, we may not legally screen the film of Good Report, as to do so would constitute a criminal offence." The film's board's decision was based on a scene between the teacher and pupil that it said constituted child pornography. After the announcement, Kubeka appeared on stage with his mouth taped as a sign of protest. But later on, the ban was overturned on appeal, and Of Good Report was screened on the last day of the festival, classified as suitable for viewers aged 16 or over. B for Boy. B for Boy is a contemporary drama set in Nigeria about one woman's desperate need for a male child. It explores the discrimination of women in the names of culture and religion. It is written and directed by Chika Anadu. Disappointing movies of 2014 so far. Walk of Shame. They came together. The film has many problems. Most of them all go back to the sheer contempt that this film has for the romantic comedy genre. They Came Together contains not one truly funny moment. It does seem that producers David Wayne and co. didn't bother writing a single joke. Every supporting character delivers their lines with derisive, sneering irony, while even the 1-2 punch of likability. This is just a mean, nasty takedown of romantic comedies, which feels inherently sexist because the message is that media tailored to a female audience is inferior and needs more completely random poop references to be funny. And the fact that it's so terribly cringily unfunny is the ultimate rub.
Well, well.
Maleficent. This was supposed to be it. A bold live-action retelling of Walt Disney's immortal animated Sleeping Beauty, except this time told from the point of view of its unforgettable evil sorceress, Maleficent, embodied with devilish glee by Angelina Jolie. The attempt at depicting a meaningful relationship between Maleficent and future Sleeping Beauty Aurora, Elle Fanning, meant absolutely nothing, and the feminist subtext was non-existent. Maleficent is basically a rape victim and spends the rest of the story plotting her revenge in all sorts of really flimsy ways. Worst of all, Maleficent's coolest power, the ability to turn into a fearsome dragon, was robbed of her and given to a male character. For a Disney freak, Maleficent was absolutely crushing.
Every day, I wake up knowing that the more people I try to save, the more enemies I will make.
The Amazing Spider-Man 2. From Godzilla to Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, by way of 22 Jump Street and Edge of Tomorrow, it's actually been a pretty solid summer for blockbusters, with a few very notable exceptions, cue in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Reviewers described it as a total mess and botched the actual superheroics pretty badly, but it did get a couple of elements right, the central relationship and a quippy sense of humor. Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone were as charming as ever, but I like to watch people who are really in a relationship flirt with each other. It's not enough to hang a franchise on. The scripts get Gwen killed off and then have Peter get over her in 5 minutes, instantly cheapening the death. Quite ugly to look at. Producers seem more concerned with settling up sequels than telling an actual good story. It's essentially a textbook on how not to make a superhero movie.
Not Dom Hemingway.
Hemingway is free! Hemingway is free!
Dom Hemingway. In general, we've been pleasantly surprised in 2014, more often than we've been disappointed. But the biggest sting came with the gangster comedy Dom Hemingway. It had been a while since we've had decent British gangster picture, and Dom Hemingway's opening scene was sunshine, but there simply isn't a compelling enough story to be told here afterwards. Especially when the film tries to introduce unearned, treacly sentiment in the third act with Dom's relationship with his daughter, played by Emilia Clarke.
Apes do not want war.
Top earning movies of the year so far. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is topping the box office this third quarter with over $174.7 million after it opened in theaters with $72.6 million, while Tammy, the movie stars Melissa McCarthy, driving to work when she suddenly strikes a deer, causing significant damage to her vehicle. Once she arrives at work, she got fired for repeatedly showing up late for her shift. She gets into a situation with her husband, goes to her parents' place, and decides to leave town. The movie has earned over $78.7 million so far.
You want some pies? You want pies?
Yes, please.
I feel like we're kind of getting somewhere, and under different circumstances, we'd probably be, good pals, like find like a hot tub or...
I actually have one in my apartment complex.
Fingers crossed, we meet up again.
It is the sequel to the 2013 film, The Purge. A young couple works to survive on the streets after their car breaks down right as the annual purge commences. Lucy has done over $48.8 million in cinemas. It tells the story of a woman accidentally caught in a dark deal, turns the tables on her captors, and transforms into a merciless warrior evolved beyond human logic.
Crap hopper, the air racer!
Crap hopper!
You're smaller than I thought, but that's okay.
Thanks.
Planes, Fire and Rescue, which tells the story of the character down as Dusty, who learns his engine is damaged and he may never race again. He joins a forest fire and rescue unit to be trained as a firefighter. The story has been found so enthralling that it has grossed over $36.8 million in cinemas. And that is all, folks. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Soundcity TV. Bye for now, guys.